Last season on The Aviators, we introduced you to Air Boss Wayne Boggs, the man responsible for overseeing some of the biggest air shows in the country.
Actually, I have two jobs. One is my own business. It's an air show business where I'm an air boss, and a municipality or show producer would hire me to boss their show. Second, I'm the Director of Operations, Safety, and Security for the Sun and Fun Fly-In. So that's pretty much occupies all of my time.
As a retired air traffic controller and now as an air boss, Wayne has spent a lot of time directing other aircraft where to go and what to do. But Wayne's no armchair quarterback. He's also a warbird pilot himself and owns a beautiful Fairchild PT-19. Designed as a primary trainer like the Stearman biplane, the PT-19 would have been the first aircraft a cadet would step into during World War II. Unfortunately, not as many PT-19s have survived as the more prolific Stearman.
Very few of these airplanes flying are left, and the reason for that, it's got a very, very intricate center section, wooden center section. They were actually built by a piano company, and the woodwork in them is very, very intricate. And after the war, they did what they called an ice pick test on these things, and they, under the main spar on the bottom of the wing, they'd stick an ice pick up in there to see if it was rotten. Well, what they didn't realize at the time is there's actually a cap strip on the bottom of the spar, and they were sticking the ice pick into the cap strip. The cap strip was rotten, but the spar wasn't rotten. But they were going, oh, it's rotten, and they were scrapping them and tearing them up. The Stearman, which is the Boeing biplane, was, nostalgic-wise, people love the biplane more than this. So I bet there isn't 10 of these flying around at the present time, where there's probably hundreds of Stearmans.
For Wayne, the PT-19 was a perfect choice of aircraft, largely because it met his family's mission requirements, but also because of a personal connection to the aircraft.
I'm a very blessed individual because I have a wife of 43 years that likes the same things I like. And we had gone through all our times, and we thought, well, one day we would like to own some type of airplane. Her only stipulation was it had to have 2 or more seats in it, because I always thought about building a single-seat Pitts, and of course that would not have included her. So my mother taught in these airplanes down at Emory-Riddle, way before I was born. But I'd always had a fascination for World War II type of aircraft, and this particular airplane, I always liked the looks of it. We actually found it advertised in 1983 in Trade-A-Plane. A gentleman had it in Andover, Massachusetts. It was a basket case. He actually had it in his basement. It was pretty much a mess, but it had no rot in it, and that was a big thing because the majority of this airplane is wood. So my wife and I and all the children, for 3 years, restored the airplane and had a lot of help from great friends and stuff. And in 1986, we started flying it, and then we moved to Tampa at that time, and we flew it from Chicago down here to Tampa. It's named after my mother. My mother went with me to actually see the airplane and that, but unfortunately she was killed in a car wreck before we ever finished the airplane. I named it after her. There's also a data plate that's in memory of her on the landing gear, but her name was Sue, and we named it after her.
Like other primary trainers, the PT-19 wasn't necessarily designed for long trips. The aircraft has just a compass for navigation and is limited to VFR flight only. With the open cockpit, you probably wouldn't want to try IFR anyhow. According to Wayne, however, the PT-19's cockpit is more comfortable than its biplane brethren.
This airplane is much, much more comfortable than flying a Stearman. You get very little wind in your face in this airplane, but in the Stearman you get a tremendous amount of wind because it burples off the top wing and shoots right down in the cockpit. So sitting in the back cockpit in that Stearman, it's like somebody sitting there beating on your face like that, whereas you don't have that in this airplane.
Propelling the aircraft is a 200 horsepower inverted inline engine capable of top speeds of around 130 miles per hour. While the aircraft was used to teach aerobatics during the war, Wayne doesn't exactly describe it as nimble.
This is like driving a big old car. This is one of the trainers series, one of the nicest flying airplanes. It's a very heavy airplane. It weighs almost 3,000 pounds. It's got a wide stance on the gear, so it gives it very good ground handling characteristics. It's got a very large rudder, which can accommodate somewhat stiff crosswind. It also has flaps that come out of the bottom of the wing. That gives it much better characteristics as far as getting it into short places. It's got a 200 horsepower inverted inline engine in it, which is a very, very smooth engine. It's got a lot of dihedral in the wing, which this wing really likes to fly.
The PT-19 may not be the most practical aircraft out there. If you're looking for something to haul around your family or to go on long trips, this may not be the aircraft for you. But for those looking to get back to the way flying once was, this is an ideal aircraft.
Oh, I love this type of flying. I mean, this is really neat flying. I have been very blessed. I've got to fly in an F-16, an F-18, and an F-15 when I was with the Federal Aviation Administration. But flying these types of airplanes are truly the grassroots of flying.